stand up.
Good. Hey, thank you all for being here. My name is Matt Spangler, and I'm a professor of performance studies. And I'm going to give a brief introduction for Ching Ching, and then I'll turn it over to her. And I would say it's great to see all of you here on what we hope is the back end of COVID, but doesn't look like it is. But nonetheless, here we are. And it's great that y'all have showed up for this event here in a room together. And we've got about another 41 people online. Look at that. I can see the number 41 there, which is how I know there's 41 people on this computer. So there's how, and then there's 41 more right here. That's pretty good. Great. Well, let me introduce Ching Ching, and then I'll turn it over. Ching Ching Tan is a Chinese immigrant and has been living in the United States since 2004. The journey of her creative writing began when she was taking ESL courses in community college. Today, she is a communication studies instructor and public voices fellow with the Op-Ed project at San Jose State. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Ching Ching writes mostly nonfiction. Her personal these essays have appeared in Visible magazine, Canyon Voices magazine, SFWP, among many others. Much of her writing explores the notion of naturalization about people who are naturalized citizens like she is, who left their home countries for sometimes a cliched notion of the American dream. Her writing is a continuous negotiation with herself, asking, aside from an American passport, how else have I been naturalized, specifically been made to conform? A work in progress memoir, Naturalized, that's the title of the memoir, examines her experiences moving to the United States in her 30s and how being Chinese has shaped her and shaped these experiences. Finally, since COVID hit, she has felt the additional duty to respond to the increasing anti-Asian sentiment in the United States. In this way, she seeks to reveal not only what it feels like to be an immigrant in a host country, but to be continually disparaged by some of the citizens of that host country. Today, Ching Ching will be reading from a piece titled The Unsentimental Way. Join me in welcoming Ching Ching Tan.
Thank you. Because there's so many people online as well, and I'm trying to do both. I am just so honored. I need to say something before reading. So a few of you yesterday, I was talking to a few of you saying that this is going to be the first in-person event since the pandemic. I am just so honored that I am the reason for you to come here to have this in-person encounter. So I am grateful. And also there are so many webinar participants as well. So I want to tell a story to begin with. Not from this reading yet. And this story is Dr. Spangler is part of this, and I want you to help me clarify if the details is not accurate. 7 years ago, I believe is precisely 7 years ago, when I was one semester away from graduating from MA Communication Studies, and then I received an email from the department from Dr. Spangler saying that an author, Andrew Lam, he was going to give a talk in his class. And then, so I was still a graduate student. I was curious for everything, but mainly I was very curious about an author, and the name is very similar to mine. So I wanted to attend that meeting. So I went. It was in the dark room, 231. So that event changed my life, and I want you to hear that. It was very simple. Andrew Lam read his work with an accent, and in my old world, I never put these two things together. You know, someone who is having an accent and someone who is a writer, and he's an established author. A famous book, The Bird of Paradise. So I was like, I didn't remember exactly what he even read at that time. So I was like, my world was shaken ever since. I was like, what? You know, it's possible. And then not only that, I got another news that Andrew Lam was going to teach a 242 in English department, creative writing, in the next semester before I graduate, the last semester. And Dr. Spangler encouraged me to take this class. He said, you could take one class outside of the department to graduate with your MA. So that further changed my life, as you could see. I need to tell you more about this that you don't know. So at that time, Andrew Lam was taking a Caltrain from San Francisco to San Jose every week to come to teach us. And that semester, my writing, using a terrible is not even enough to describe how bad my writing was. So because I had an opportunity to talk to him, driving to Caltrain, and I started apologizing myself. I couldn't write well. English is not my first language. I started mumbling, and then he interrupted me. I don't know if he even remember. He interrupted me with this simple question. He said, "Do you have a story to tell?" So the conversation went on, and then a few years later, I started to join MFA program in San Jose State because I believe I have a story to tell. So really, right now you're here joining this. Maybe you just got an email similar to 7 years ago, that email. But the difference is, of course, Andrew Lang was an established author, and I am just someone who likes to write. And you're here, and I'm just so grateful that you're here to listen to me reading my work. So this is what I'm going to do. I attended quite a few reading events, but I am a calm person. Naturally, I would like to involve my audience. I don't like to just read all the way till the end. I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I read one piece about 2,000 words. It's going to take a lot of time already to me, my level of acceptance. Oh, this is long. Okay. But it's already a condensed piece of something I recently wrote. And then I would like to see if it can be some catalyst for dialogue in here and in here from the webinar. So if the conversation goes well, I may not even read the other two pieces. That's my plan. What do you think? Okay, unless you really like to hear more. But to be honest, Facebook, if you follow my writer page, and you can read everything else and more complete if that's the case. So let me read this piece I just recently wrote. Can you see me and hear me well? Okay. Okay. Let's do this. Sit back. First time. Okay. So this is a piece about my relationship with language, with my home languages, Cantonese and Mandarin, and of course with the guest language, English. And I am writing in English, right? So it's called The Unsentimental Way. Try to be louder for people far away. I hope you can hear. And for the webinar people as well, hopefully. Okay. Is it okay? Can you hear? Cool. The Unsentimental Way. Earlier in this country, when I lived in Southern California, freshly settled in the Sunshine State and newly received an American driver license, I love to drive Highway 1. I opened the car windows completely to welcome the salty scent of the Pacific Ocean, allowing my hair to be all tangled by the breeze and the beautiful California sun. Then automatically, my right hand will reach down to the car stereo to lower the volume or to turn off the sound completely. On this particular day, I was playing a Chinese song, 生如夏花, Alive as a Summer Flower by Pu Shu. Pu Shu City was one of the select few I carried in 2004 when I made the biggest move in my life to this land of the free after I farewelled my radio career in Guangzhou, China. My luggage to LAX was packed to its maximum weight allowance, knowing there was no going back. I understood I could not bring my life with me, but I still wanted to take some of the CDs I love, some essential to my heart. I discarded CD cases and squeezed Wang Fei, Karen Mok, and Xu Wei Pushu, among others, into a swelling CD bag. The year before my departure, I brought them on a road trip to Tibet as an earnest passenger following a four-wheel drive group traveling up to the Mount Everest camp, down and north to Xinjiang and back to my own nest in Guangzhou, my previous home for 32 years, before this city became a longing for the next page of my life. What accompanied me during the month-long road trip was the songs and some crisp intimidation toward the grand unknown and the search for the meaning of my life in America. How would my CDs and I know being here meant more than a shift of geography? At a red light, my car stopped next to a white convertible. The 2004 hit song Yeah by Usher was playing on the stereo at a volume that could be heard 2 or 3 cars away. The driver's goatee was neatly trimmed. His silver-coated sunglasses shielded him from the harsh early afternoon sun. From my side, I could see he was looking ahead, undisturbed, as if he knew he was part of the scenery, and as if he knew that the beat, the lyrics he played, all were relevant to his surroundings. His expression assumed no one would object to this small invasion of the public space, so comfortable. I knew what it felt like to be in that zone. A song is a song, but if a song is played by a DJ, it's never just that song, it's a story. He was DJing in that open space. I did that in China, but I was in a studio broadcasting to the public. An hour of me playing a series of songs, weaving in a kind of sensibility that only that particular song speaks to a particular emotion. The song then became a necessary thread, sewing together a fabric to tell a story. Listeners concur. Whether you're a DJ inside the live studio, producing such a story to the Pearl River Delta, harmonizing with millions of Cantonese speaking audience, or you're a driver of white convertible enjoying your own song, just by the way, broadcasting to this 40 feet diameter near you, you are encircling a shared experience, a shared story. The driver assumes an easy rapport with the surroundings. I wanted to be in that zone. I couldn't because I was in America, not with Pushu, not with any Chinese songs I love. It was the first time in my life I noticed something was in the air, something I could not quite name. I came with this open gesture to this new world, I really did. I arrived on this side of the Pacific Ocean willingly, with anticipation and excitement, but with an apologetic underpinning always. I was like a woman embracing her new lover with open arms, then suddenly jolting back and tightening her shoulders. It may be her armpits, or whatever she's self-conscious about, or maybe something in the air that is shaping who she is and how she behaves. She can't understand what's happening. Life demands her from all directions. She figures that at this moment, she has no time for sentimentality. Urgency says that she may want to stop listening to Bushu for now or forever. It's long though. Should I jump over?
No. No.
No? You sure? Okay. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Nice. We are born into a language. We breathe in and out of that sound. We're the fish. Our mother tongue is water. There's no need to notice it. We just can't live without it. The beautiful SoCal sunshine illuminated me 16 years ago and also eradicated some wants. This fish needed to swim in an unfamiliar water. Between a need and a want, it's very easy to decide. My Cantonese came into a halt. A part of me was put to sleep. I did more than setting aside Cantonese Chinese songs to stem out my mother tongue. I buried myself in English and only in English. I don't know if I also deliberately make less Chinese friends, care less about news from China, or even ate less Chinese food. I was that determined for a long while. But if the change is so deliberate, the proceeding so automatic, like reaching down to turn off my car stereo, then no one should be surprised that today, the sound I listen to from NPR, the SNL I watch and laugh at, and all the books I read every day are in English. I look around my study, none of the books are in Chinese. It's like you're certain when you're sitting on a couch, you see a TV stand at your eye level, a coffee table stacked under your resting feet. I sit down at my desk. I'll be certain to type in English. I'll be certain to flip pages or to scroll down the screen to read more English. In this tangible space, at every moment and every breath, I am speaking and writing another language. I am aware. I'm aware as if I am wearing a jacket that is not mine. The material is so unfamiliar and scratchy to my skin. The tailoring is for someone else's body. Feeling awkward, I put it on anyway. I walk around, go about my business, yet constantly become aware of what I'm wearing. It's someone else's jacket, my body says. Over time, though, I grow into it. But I always remember that I borrowed that jacket. It's not mine. Meanwhile, my tongue keeps twisting more and more alphabetically. The tone of my voice becomes neutralized instead of dancing around with nine tones. I may even have pressed down my throat to make this sound appear more authoritative, to steer away from the ultra femininity, a tendency when I speak my mother tongue of Cantonese. I am changing. I have changed. So then somehow, miraculously, I blurt out words in English. The conversation between me and my husband and casual small talk with the Trader Joe cashier, it's a miracle that my tongue twists, my vocal cord vibrates, then an alien sound comes out of my mouth that is wondrously understood by others. I even lecture in English. Some of my students are here. Teaching public speaking to the university students, as far as I can tell, they understand me. Sometimes I even see that I have sparked some wonder. We connect, we share the same brainwave at the same time, but I have had countless occasions while speaking when my self-consciousness keeps knocking in my head. What's happening here? But the sound from my mouth continue, sounds that I learned later in life. Yes, it was deliberate, but still, how does that happen? So much like you get around walking, the most natural thing to do, a default, if you will, but suddenly you are introduced to a thing called motor vehicle. Through training, you begin to navigate a car. You fear at first, but a little bit at a time, this car moves as a result of your navigation. This metal responds to your command and it does things you ask. You are exhilarated. Then one day you realize you can move around your world more and more freely, but with a much higher speed, an astonishing high speed, and you gain an astonishing realization. I am as fast as the car. You feel freer now with an increased velocity and you are driving on the highway. And then at a split second, however, your mind say, how did that happen? I can make a car move and it's moving so fast. Your mind wonders, but your car keeps moving, moving fast, and already goes to places you did not anticipate going before. Like freedom. How did it happen? It was the beginning of the pandemic lockdown. My work mostly consisted of a video recording that day, still self-conscious about a new way of teaching. So I repeatedly recorded this video over and over until the last version, which I thought was the best after at least 10 takes. So I wanted it to be done so badly I could post it for my students to see. But while publishing it, all I could see was the looping three dots on the screen. The video was just wouldn't post it. I promised my student the video was on the way. Obviously, I couldn't. So irritated, I had to get up to vent. Working from home makes it possible to interrupt my husband in his study. I am an ant on a hot pan. What? My husband asked. An ant on a hot pan, you know? I began to physically demonstrate a commotion as if I were an ant. When you're an ant on a hot pan, All you can do is run everywhere but nowhere. Do you understand me? I stomped on the floor and vigorously waved my arms to show him how this ant was frantically agitated. I was describing a Chinese phrase, 热锅上的蚂蚁, my instant expression, a snap phrase at a moment of irritation. Something existed from my old world, something I stored away, but it showed up that day. This end lives in me. It doesn't show up often, but it's there. Very occasionally, I still speak Cantonese, but a well of Chinese phrases are cast aside, like this end in the hot pan. They may be too old fashioned, too unremarkable to say. I might have discarded them to make space for the new to pour in without slowing down. But this language runs through my veins and sings inside me. And when it does, I have to let it air. Deep in his work, my Italian husband responded with an automatic frown. It's automatic. Since our first date, we've been speaking English, no question asked. He knows Cantonese and Mandarin are part of me, but I wear English and I wear it well. It may be the working from home, it may be that nothing is normal nowadays anymore, or maybe a general fed up pretending I could be someone else all along. Something is waking up. The phrase unrepentantly speaks itself through me, like the occasional Cantonese phrases that desert their space on this page. Many more expressions in Cantonese are there, in me, only sleeping and deeply stored away. When moment arrives, they'll joyfully leap through this dormant safeguard and out to remind me who I am. We like to go to the Mexican Plaza on Cinco de Mayo. I don't know much about Mexican culture, nor do I speak Spanish, but I love to be there. I love to smell the barbecue, the colorful decor whenever my eyes meet. But most importantly, I love watching people sing and dance on this day. The sound volume is up and up and up till the next block could hear. So unapologetic and lively. My brother loves to sing. His major entertainment is go to karaoke in Chinatown, sing and record on his phone, and send the clip over via WeChat to us. I never understand why he does it. We laugh and we make fun of him, and he does it all over again. If language materializes our world, music is an instrument more than literally intended to strike a chord. What happened since I was absorbed by English? Has this guest language overwritten something in me? Something only the Chinese language can contain? And music, a language of itself that I cast away. What have I surrendered? I have a CD player in my car. Maybe I dig into my storage to find Pushu and play it. Or maybe, only maybe, I'll open the window and let the air exchange between the sound of my world, my stereo, and the sound of the world. Oh, thank you for your patience. This is so long. It's already condensed. Thank you. Yes. Oh, thank you, thank you. So this is something I wrote very recently, and I thought it was very fresh, and I wanted to share. Just still in my mind, once you finish a piece. So yeah, let me have some questions. Tabitha, if you could keep track of questions there, and then I will take questions from here. Comments, questions, anything, conversations, so that we don't know if we want to read more or not. What do you think? And I know Dr. Spengler's class will be leaving a little early, so right. So I would take more of the in-person questions first, if I have any. We're still trying to get used to this in-person thing, I guess. I'm just so happy to see you all faces again. Say that. Okay, any comments? Yeah.
I was gonna say that listening to you talk about going down Highway 1, turning down the radio to Wintertown, I've had that same drive many times myself.
Yeah.
So I was with you in the car,
Oh, that's so nice.
listening to the sound of someone else's radio while driving.
Yeah.
So yeah. It was very visually pleasing. It was the best way that I can describe it.
Yeah.
Listening to you read it, I was there.
That's so nice to hear. Sorry, what's your name again?
Right.
Ray. Yes. Oh, Ray, yes, with the mask, It's hard to. Thank you for coming, Ray. Yes.
We have a question from Audrey Dillon.
Mhm.
Do you talk with your family in English or your mother languages?
Oh, such a great question. So, of course, my parents, they don't understand English, and I would speak Cantonese, but my father cannot hear me well. So, on the phone call, it's just not so much of the conversation. But with my brother and my sister, the WeChat conversation now becomes more and more English. It's they don't type Chinese very comfortably, so they type in English. Um, in person, we code switch. It's between two languages, sadly. Yeah. But with my niece, of course, I mean, I speak Cantonese to her, and she will speak English back to me. No, yeah.
I just have a comment, which is, I'm always very interested in our current moment and how we are navigating technology
Yeah.
and how we are understanding that navigation. And I actually did a performance. I have a student here. We did a performance almost exactly 2 years ago
Yeah.
on this topic of
Yeah.
what social media does to our understanding of ourselves. And so I just love the ant on a fry pan metaphor. And I think it's wonderful, and we're just sort of scratching the surface of how this bombardment of technology, or as a friend recently put it, the fire hose of information, is constantly manipulating us and changing us, and changing our rhythm, and changing our sense of self, and
Yeah.
changing our sense of when we've accomplished something, we've done everything right, and still the darn thing isn't working.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I just love the ant on a hot plate.
Oh, that's yeah. Let's use it every day so that.
Yeah, we'll keep it up.
Let's do that. Yeah.
And we'll keep finding more.
Yeah,
metaphors.
that's so nice. It's so hard not to use that at that moment. There is no choice. My brain was fixated on that phrase, only that phrase, and it's just so hard to say anything else at all. If I say anything else, it's the translation of that. It's just the image is there. So I suddenly wanted to remind myself to paraphrase what everybody says here, so that the webinar people can hear as well. I wonder if I need to do that. So it was about the hot pan, the end. We should use this phrase from now on in America. Nice. Hi, Andy.
I appreciated how you talked about the relationship between language and one's sense of self.
Mhm.
Because a lot of us might be inclined to think that we use language to
Mhm.
accomplish some end external to us, but at
Mhm.
least based on what you're teaching, that we are shaped through language.
Yeah.
Could you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah.
more?
Oh, that's it. By the way, that's our chair, Dr. Wood. And I want to say something about Dr. Wood later.
Oh, boy.
We're gonna. So I remember I was fascinated by language for reasons that was just out of frustration at the beginning. I wanted to choose a major to understand what's going on. I don't know what questions to ask. So my undergrad was linguistic. So at that time, when they were talking about language, you use language, but language shapes you. So I remember the very obvious examples was like, okay, so you're American English speaker, but then now you're learning Japanese, and you started bowing, right? So,
When you are ready, I have 5 questions have come in
Oh,
on the chat.
okay.
At least 5 and more are coming.
sure. I mean, if you allow, then we go to maybe in
Oh, yeah.
person first. Yes.
I would just want to say that I had a very similar experience with Andrew Lamb like a few months ago,
Yeah.
thanks to Dr. Spangler, of
Yes.
course, where it felt like for the first time you talk a lot in this piece about
Yeah.
Shame of hiding the music that you love, the language
Yeah.
that is yours from the other world, and that idea of hiding yourself.
Yeah.
And for the first time, reading Andrew Lamb's work, I mean, it was like being seen for the first time.
Mm.
When I haven't read any Asian American sort of literature
Mm-hmm.
before that. So this idea of being so vulnerable, to being so sharp, with your words, with your literature.
Mm.
And in a way, right now at this moment, you are uncovering that shame. You are letting go of that
Mhm.
idea, and all of those from Andrew Lamb to you to me.
Yeah.
I'm seeing these examples of literature and language and storytelling being
Yeah.
a medium that can transform us
Yeah.
in a way that a month ago, 2 months ago, I would have never have thought that
Yeah.
this is how I'm gonna make my place in the world.
Yeah.
Telling stories. Yeah, right. I mean, it's like, I don't know, move over Shang-Chi. I want to listen to Andrew Lamb talk.
Yeah.
I want to listen to you talk
Oh,
for,
thank you.
for
Yeah.
an hour, like, because there's something about the story you just told,
Yeah.
and how it is so universal, but also so specific.
I appreciate your comments, and I will try my best to paraphrase a little bit so that people can hear. Um, you know, storytelling, it does more than learning someone else's life, and it's really enriching uh, our life experiences, and it's really it's to me it's the pathway to empathy, right? And then I so appreciate the fact that now I want to talk about Dr. Wood. Yeah. So I write. I'm just someone who likes to write, and for those of you who write, there's a chance someone's going to read your writing. Okay. There's a chance that your chair is going to read your writing and is going to host the event like this. I just want you to know, and that's amazing. And then someone will get in touch in that unique and very specific world. Just like I would never give up teaching come 20N, public speaking for non-native speakers. And I just see that, wow, someone unconventional up there in the podium doing these things called public speaking, and she is not the person I thought public speaking instructor would look like. And just because of that, I would just keep doing what I'm doing. And then right now I am writing, and it's very difficult. Writing, it's so hard, but I can see, wow, there's something bigger that I need to carry myself forward, and I want to write, and I want to write, and I want to touch more lives just because of this. And yeah, once in a while people read too, so that's amazing feeling. Yeah, let's write together. Let's do this. Yes. So there are more questions, right? Do you think we should move on with more questions or read? Maybe just questions, I think. Yeah. Yes, I will listen to questions.
Okay, so we have a two-part question from Victoria Thorpe
Okay.
and Dr. Gao. The questions are, do you dream in Cantonese or in English? And do you think in English or in Chinese?
Okay. So the question was, do I dream in Cantonese or in English, or do I think in English and Cantonese? So this is the question this is the reason I wrote this piece. This is the reason I wrote this piece, but then I left out everything about dream state, everything about subconscious world. I actually am curious about that myself. I am actually doing, I don't know, anybody read Ayat Akhtar, this new novel. Sorry, what is the name again? I lost it. The new one. I come back to it. So he was talking about language as something very corporal. So it's very subconscious. It goes directly from your body to your expression. There's no so much of the thinking to do. And then dream, it does things to give you a hint of what actually your subconscious world is going to be. So I actually, since I read that, I put a little note by my bed and took note what my dream, actually what I said in my dream. And I said all sorts of things in my dreams. And I said Mandarin, Cantonese, English, and Italian, even because I speak a little Italian too. at first I was very conscious about, okay, so English is taking over my world now. I don't have Cantonese now. But then I noticed I actually have a lot in my, it's a very rich in my dream. It's a very weird thing. Do that yourself if you want to, especially when you speak multiple languages. So I feel like the dream state for me, it doesn't give me so much hint, but I at the same time, I wanted to say language transcends. At that state, at that dream state, at the subconscious mind, there's no, like, people should speak what, then someone should understand what. It's just that we just simply be there. We just simply are. And we're there, and, but we have to wake up. So that's that. And this is the longer piece of the unsentimental way. I took this, I didn't include that, but I wrote about it. So hopefully some place is going to accept that and you can read about that too. That's a great question. That's a great question. Yes, Spike.
So, Ching Ching, I was
Yes.
really fascinated with your description about the acquisition of English.
Yes, thank you.
Because you and I have similar stories, but
Yes.
it comes from entirely differently. So my grandfather came here in the 20s
Yes.
During the Exclusion Act.
Hmm.
So he came in as a paper son. But he used to cut my hair when I was really tiny and he used to tell me in his dialect of Cantonese, you have to get your education and you have to do it in English.
Yeah.
You can't be Chinese.
Hmm.
It's the only thing they'll never take from you is your education, right?
Hmm.
Because he had come in, his father had died on Angel Island and all this other stuff. So that's how we grew up,
Hmm.
to the extent that my grandmother was always really proud to introduce me as my grandson, the English teacher.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it is true probably for every immigrant.
Yeah.
Is that question of the acquisition of English is in some shape a losing of other parts of your culture.
Hmm.
But you had a lot of really short comments that I thought played really well because of the storytelling. That was great. But I'm willing to bet that your translation of, the ant and the hot pan probably sounds a lot better in Cantonese than in English, just to guess.
So Spike is a writer friend of mine, and this is the second time I see you. Online we connected a lot. Spike is a retired high school English teacher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you for coming once again. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yes.
May I ask a follow-up question? It relates to
Spikes, yeah.
your comments. So this is a two-part question. It comes from Meryl Vasquez and Liz Harris.
Okay.
And the question is, first, do you have any more metaphors or phrases like ant on a hot pan? And the second part of the question is, do you ever ask your students what kinds of phrases they use?
Did I? I don't. No. We didn't get to that yet, right? We didn't. Did I? No. A lot of phrases. I don't have the snap expression right here, but just stay with me for longer time and then it's gonna come, right? Right now, no, I don't. I mean, right now I hear English though. I mean, it's hard to. There are absolutely tons of it to come out, but I cannot think of any. Yes, I do, but I cannot think of any. And we should go there when in the classroom, we should talk about that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I've read another story of yours about the job that you have when you're in Southern California working at the shopping mall.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Okay. So Dr. Spangler is asking me about my job in Southern California. So I came to this country in December of 2004, and I got a job within 10 days in the mall. That is Max Mara. Actually, I'm wearing a Max Mara pants. Anyway, so that's an Italian garment store, fancy. But I was very lucky because they need a bilingual salesperson, and then they call it a fashion consultant. It's very fancy, everything. So I was lucky that to be able to find a job very quickly because I supposed to be bilingual, but I didn't speak English very well at the time. I it's there's that is a transformative experience for me because if I didn't feel very safe to go too much of the English, and I still have my Chinese customers to communicate with, and there are colleagues Chinese, and that was an environment that was perfect for me to just go a little bit more than I feel comfortable or not, to learn English. And that was an environment that, yeah, I wrote about that as well. If you there is an actually to scan to follow my Facebook pages. What do I want to say about that job? I I was a I cannot. It was an experience of new immigrant, having no grasp of reality, um, lost completely, where you can stand linguistically and anything else. And then you try to find something, trying some try to make sense. So that was an environment that I had a lot of I cried a lot because I didn't understand a lot. But it was also an experience now that I think of it. Oh my God, that was such a precious a year and a half for me to learn about America. So yeah, so read that. It's published in Canyon Voices. So thank you. What time is it now? Should I read one more? Okay, 4:45. Okay. I have a very small piece and I would like to read if you, yeah, it's a, so this piece is something, okay, let me just read it. And it's about peanuts. So it's called Oh Small Peanuts. The first time I saw American, I was 15 years old in China. My brother brought home two people that day, a mother and her son from Nebraska. I don't remember what she looked like. All I learned in the world I lived in suggested to me that Americans meant white. The first encounter proved it. I have a picture of the boy named Joseph. Most memories were blurry, only these peanuts. Common courtesy for our family would be to serve tea with snacks when guests visited. My mother offered many things that I don't recall. After some polite but steep conversations, our guests were about to leave. My mother brought the plate with a handful of peanuts, presenting it earnestly, urging them to stay. Have some peanuts, have some peanuts. This is our Chinese way. To keep you for longer means we cherish you and the relationship. It's our hospitality. Besides, my mother is such a Taoxing person. This word literally means scooping out the heart. She would not hesitate to scoop her heart out for you if she cares about you. Today, at age 86, hands shaky and no longer able to sit up straight, my mother still has her reflex to serve tea on all occasions. She suddenly leans forward and prepares to rise, only to realize the effort is outside the will of her body. She serves, that's what she does and has always done. On that day, mother poured tea and waved her hands upward to offer the peanuts. I could see that our guests wanted to leave, but were reluctant to do so. Just Joseph's mother smiled apologetically at the peanut, says, "Oh, the small ones." Even with my very limited English, I understood, but what did I understand? When craving hits, I go to 99 Ranch Market to get a bag of salty, boiled, sun-dried peanuts, a product from mainland China, to indulge in my old-time pleasure. A bag of peanuts from 6,000 miles away. I crack open the tiny shells with both hands, thumbs, indexes, and middles, then pour the tiny pearls, sometimes only singular, onto my palm before sending them onto my mouth. While slowly gnawing them, I allow the cycle to repeat. Gnawing and cracking. I feel that the chewing I hear creates a bubble around me, my jaw moving, my mind freeing. The bubble allows me to be part of a light conversation. Sometimes it's important to chat about nothing. Peanuts, big or small, are our way of life. 15-year-old me wondered if there was a bigger way of life out there. Our family was moderately affluent. I never felt poor, but I sensed something larger was out there, one out of my understanding of it at the time and for a very long time. The size of the world, a much bigger peanut, was ahead of me by about 20 years. Something about geography, that some distance away there were places in the world that are bigger or even better, according to whom I did not know. Since the peanut encounter in the 80s, China's peanut production has grown substantially. To sell more peanuts to China, peanut conferences in the US explore strategies. And I heard this. One thing we heard loud and clear is Chinese consumers have very low expectation of peanut products. They expect rancid and stale peanuts. It's an actual quote. I wonder how business dealing could be so condescending. To my ear, it sounded like, here, the leftover ones, you can have those. China today plays a significant role on the international stage. It's hard not to hear about China in the news today. The tiny peanuts where we crack continuously in the bubble seems to evoke a sound of firecracker, that millions and trillions of peanuts cracking cause the world to shake, causing an earthquake. I hope this is not what they call the China threat. I wish to live in a world that only compares the size of peanuts without judgment, the sizes of things, not to compare the expansion of power, not to perpetually look down, not to make less than or toss around. We are the small peanuts, coarse skin outside, low key, and easy to slide into obscurity. But we want to be the unpretentious one. When cracked open, we are pearls. This is another. Thank you. Thank you. And this is published in the Visible magazine. There's a longer version, and I just need to quickly read the essence of it. Yeah. Okay. I know you have to leave for the.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do. My class has to go back to the other half of our class.
Yes.
It takes place in a different room. So I'm going to leave you
Yes.
and
Yeah.
other folks here in the room.
Yes.
Tabitha, can I hand it off to you and then
Andy.
Andy.
Yes.
Okay.
Andy wants
The last minutes, last 10 minutes, we're gonna still be here. I know some of the students are heading back to the classrooms, and we're gonna continue our conversations here for the last 10 minutes too. Okay, so what do you think about the peanuts? Thank you so much for those of you who are here. Thank you. Thank you. You know, with the bus, I am wondering if I miss people that I don't know. That's you.
That was really great.
Thank you. Okay, bye. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, so we're still here, and online we still have 30-something people here. So what do we got? Tim, thank you for coming, by the way.
No, thank you for having me. Wouldn't have missed it.
Thank you.
Longtime fan.
Oh, I am your fan. Yes.
So I have a question.
Yes.
About your process. We were in a Zoom discussion with Professor Nick Taylor earlier today, who is currently in Paris.
Yeah.
And the question was asked about, what are you writing while you're out there? And he had a comment that when he's abroad, he's not writing about the place he's at.
Okay.
He's writing about the place he just came from. So my question is, especially since you're writing in memory, and it's rather intimate and reaching back years and years and years and across countries, what is your experience with writing about a different place and a different time? And do you find that today it's sharpened, that you can access it a little easier, or is it more difficult as more time goes on? I'm just curious about what your process is for accessing your memory to render it so clearly and so emphatically.
This is such a great question. I think you know we're talking about craft now. We have some writers here. That is such a great question. I would say both for me. Some of the subjects I write, I need distance. I need more distance. I still cannot touch it here. Like, for example, I want to write about my father. This is recently the subject that I've been writing. And I just don't know what is the right amount of distance to write about him. And it's also about geography, America and China and all this. It's complicated. So geography is one thing, that emotional distance is another. And I notice some subjects are, okay, I am not there yet. I need to, just like I said, my father is this subject that I am trying so hard, because I really wanted to write about communism. And I wanted to write about the real person. And it's so hard to write. And wish me luck. That's something that I'm going to do. And then, but another thing is that I brought the students who study abroad in China for two times. I was feeling very strange. I couldn't settle. I couldn't bring myself to do anything. I couldn't write about America. I couldn't write about China, because there's so many things. It has changed. And I cannot remember, because China has changed so much that I feel so angry sometimes. I cannot grasp what the feeling was when I was there, because everything is just different today. So I guess that's maybe the entry point for me to write about the differences, but it's so hard. They are like knocking down everything. There's nothing exists anymore, from my old world. So I go back to my home country, but I don't recognize a thing. Can you imagine? So that's another difficult thing. Yeah. Thank you, Tim.
I have a question
Yes.
from AJ
Yeah.
and also from Audrey. I think these questions are related.
Hi, AJ.
And this is concerning your manuscript.
Yeah.
Is your manuscript a chronological memoir?
Hmm.
Or is it more a series of vignettes or something else? And of course, will you publish this manuscript? And what's your timeline on that?
AJ, so now you told me you're not judgmental yesterday. That we were talking about. So it's a personal essays collection. Try to follow the chronological order, but memories cannot, contain me in the chronological streamline. But I do try to give myself a little reasonable timeline. So for publishing, yes, of course I would like to publish eventually a book, right? But slowly, steadily working on it. And even on my Twitter, I say work in progress, but work in progress can be 20 years, just yeah. So I'm going to work hard on that one. AJ, that's a good pressure. Thank you. Yeah. Any others? Yes. Una, thank you for coming.
I have so many questions. I don't know, but I'm mindful of time. So, well, first of all, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed both of your pieces. Do you want the hard question or the easy question?
Hard question first,
Okay.
so that I can.
So I want to ask you about the title of the
Unsentimental way.
The unsentimental way. And I was so struck in that piece by, to me, hearing it, the intense emotion and also the sort of dispassionate narration. And so I'm curious if you could talk about what you mean when you talk about the unsentimental way.
That's a hard question. Yeah. Thank you. So sorry for the online people turning the. So I remember first time I wrote about unsentimental way, it was something else. It was about my husband hearing Chinese songs and saying they're very cheesy. And then, but to me, it was just the most beautiful songs in my old world. And now he said that is very cheesy. And I'm like, and that's how I started, to think about unsentimentality. because I could cry with those songs. But I just put them aside, right? I don't want to touch them. And also this air doesn't allow me to have that kind of feeling. And then I also feel like, I don't know, it's an immigrant experience or someone, or cultural differences. And then I come here and I feel like emotionally, you have to be stronger in order to carry on a lot of learning, a lot of, you know, the need to be part of this new place. And there is really, I wrote and I say, there's no time for those things. There is no time for sentimentality. So it's very deliberate to not to feel, because it's not allowed. But then things are like that, right? So when it's not allowed, you cast aside, but it's not like it's disappeared, and it comes back and bite me, I have to say. But I didn't even allow it to bite me for a long time. I did not allow it. It's just, you are there, you know, just be there. And I think now I'm feeling a little bit more relaxed to let it come back to me, and I can confront those cheesiness, you know, the noises of that, in order instead of shrinking myself. But a lot of time is just that if I can avoid that, that helps me move on, helps me be the version of you know, whoever. I don't even know what is the idea of the version that I am moving forward to, but it's like those things is not going to help. That's the notion that I have. So I don't know. It's a very difficult question, but that is precisely the place I wanted to write. That's true. Whether I have an answer or not. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Easy question, please.
Who are your favorite writers right now?
Oh my goodness. I know many of you watched the movie Call Me by Your Name. Call Me by Your Name, my name. Wait, Call Me by Your Name. So the author Andre Asimov. So he just published a new nonfiction book. It's called Homo Erectus, and I am just, oh my god, like that. And if you're asking me 2 weeks ago, there may be something else, because right now I'm reading this book and I cannot put it down. So, and favorite author, I have so many. Last year was I read so many times of Kathy Park Hong, like pages and pages and come back, and pages and pages and come back, Kathy Park Hong. And now is Andrea Asimov. Yeah, more. I read a few books all at the same time. I need to change my brain like that. Yeah. I think it's about time or not? Oh, wow, it's 5. Okay. Should we take a last question? Yes. Yes.
Oh, I hope this is also an easy question. I was reading something that you wrote online about a dish that is a little unusual for Americans. And
oh, snake!
My wife is from Kenya.
Yeah.
And she did not eat shrimp until she came over to America.
Sorry, I should.
Shrimp, prawns. Like, she was very sort of disgusted by this little crawly animal. And like, I've gotten her to eat shrimp. I've actually gotten her to eat medium rare steak. It's a big deal. And she's saying she's becoming more American as she's eating these weird foods.
Oh,
weird
American is not weird enough.
Right.
No.
So I kind of wanted, we've kind of talked a little bit about, language, when you connect, or when you separate people. What about food? How does food connect people? How does food sort of like draw barriers and borders between
people? This is an easy question. No, this is not an easy question, because it's very delicious question, I have to say, because it makes me want to talk a lot. So at the beginning of the pandemic hit, and I wrote that piece. Is called "I Am Disgusting," and it's about how Chinese people eat snake is considered very disgusting, for for example, Americans, for the people who are unfamiliar with it. And the piece is pretty much wanted to show you, how this thing is yummy and in my world. And I took apart, thank you for reading, and took apart, how this process of cooking and everything, it's scary, but it's so good. Oh my goodness, I'm mouth watering. It is so good, right? So, and then I gave a comparison of the sushi. I think it's only 100 years ago, Americans thought sushi was disgusting. Okay, so that's that, and that's the whole point of it. Food, it's home. Is when you don't have answer for those complicated questions, you go there and you find your satisfaction because it's simple and it's something you can create, or you can find an access if we're lucky enough in California, you can do that. So it is, and even if I cannot find the exact version of that food, but I can create it, I can write it, I can access that, and it's a very warm place for me to comfort, my longing and things that I cannot ever get disappointed from, right? So writing about food is just fantastic. I love it so much, and that's the piece. And I also have an agenda, so to say that I am disgusting. So you could read that as well. Yeah, so does it answer your question? Yeah. Oh my God, that makes me hungry. So let me, I wanted to just close this event. As I say, I am just someone who likes to write, and I am just so fortunate to have a department chair who actually read my work and who insisted that to bring this event to, into a reality. So I'm just very grateful, Andy. Thank you so much, Dr. Wood. So for those of you who are online, and I'm just very thankful. And I know I have some writer friends in there too, and I attend your reading as well. I'm working hard on my book. It's called Naturalize. Slowly but surely, I'm gonna get it, and I hope I still have your support once this baby is gonna come out. So thank you so much, in person and webinar people, and I am grateful for everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you.
May I beg your indulgence to offer a couple of other things? Thank you. I would like to acknowledge that Dr. Tabitha Hart was essential in organizing this event and working behind the scenes to make things happen. I'd also like to acknowledge Dr. Matthew Spangler for really helping to evangelize this event, bringing in guests and, of course, a class. And I would like to thank all of you, both those of you who are here presently with us physically, but also those who joined us from many countries around the world.
I think Australia and China, and I think England as well.
Outstanding.
Yeah,
but most importantly, thank you to Professor Ching Ching.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We should end this webinar. I don't know what to do. So, seriously, I just appreciate people even just care about my writing. So this is the best feeling today. Thank you so much.